Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the latest album from the Avalanches, We Will Always Love You. So this is the third studio album from the electronic duo hailing from Australia, who, truth be told, take a pretty long time to release music typically. It feels like forever ago since they dropped their debut album Since I Left You in the year 2000, which is a classic in my book, and they followed that up with another pretty solid album, Wildflower, 16 years later. So a 4-year gap actually feels really soon, honestly, and if you've been following the Avalanches up until this point, you'll know why they take so long to create music, mainly because it is all sample-based, and I'm not talking just like a couple samples here and there woven in, I'm talking hundreds. I mean, Since I Left You has like an estimated 900 samples used throughout the track list, I think, which is pretty insane. So I mean, overall their music is pretty eclectic sounding, and they have a lot of crossover appeal in the worlds of hip-hop and dance music. And I mean, overall an Avalanches track usually feels like a celebration of sorts, with a lot of like ascending melodies and a lot of uplifting vocal samples. Like a lot of like kids singing in choirs or something like that I'm getting at here. However, the first thing that stood out to me after my first pass through of this album over here was that the mood of it is a lot more forlorn than their past material. And also the samples on here are a lot more disguised, as the production overall has this more like glossy and spacey sheen to it, and it feels a lot less chopped and screwed. And that yields mixed results in my opinion over here. I mean, there is a very long feature list that actually drags on the track list at points. Now, that's not to say that some of the guests don't work themselves in nicely to the Avalanches formula, which they surely do, like on the title track with Blood Orange, which was a pretty big standout moment on the record for me. I love the really lazy beat that it has, and it has this really nice catchy vocal melody that comes in right in the beginning. It kind of feels like an ending to the record though, which is weird being 3 tracks in, especially with a really forgettable start. Things pick up on the next track though, The Divine Chord with MGMT and Johnny Marr of The Smiths. Very smooth and sparkly soul-centric dance track on this one that I enjoy quite a bit. But I will say, a lot of my favorite tracks from this release ended up being the ones that didn't feature anybody on them, like Born to Lose, which is snuck into the track list right towards the end. There is an amazing beat on this track that just has such an awesome feeling to it. I mean, I love the weird, I think it's a vocal melody in there that plays off of this bubbly bass that it's just perfect. There's a similar vibe on the track Overcome, which does unravel itself in a pretty satisfying way with a really immediate piano line. Also, Music Makes Me High was a pretty memorable spot on the track list for me, which has this awesome disco flavor going on. And there are these soaring vocal melody samples on there by a track by Salty Miller of the same name. But that was kind of it for big highlights on this thing for me. There are some extreme duds in my opinion, like Gold Sky that features Kurt Vile. I mean, this one just sounded like a mess to me. I mean, the way that it starts is very odd, and the track never settles into a groove at all, with these really forlorn and just ominous Kurt Vile vocals carrying over the mix that just make everything feel like it drags on forever. Also, Running Red Lights that features Rivers Cuomo and Pink Sifu is as awkward sounding as it was when it was a single. That track is just not for me whatsoever. Dial D for Devotion that features Karen O is just a 30-second waste of my life. And as I had mentioned earlier, the first 2 tracks are very skippable and forgettable for me, and also the way that it ties up at the end with this electronic, glitchy, impressionistic piece just doesn't add anything to the track list and is a weird ending. And the rest of the material is just okay. There's not really much on it that makes me want to revisit. When I'm listening to an Avalanches project though, they do always have this unique quality of not really knowing which part of the record that you're in, or even some of the tracks even with some of the transitions. A lot of this can be surprising and endearing at times, and just kind of make you look forward to what's coming next. But I don't know, I just didn't really get that from this album. A lot of these tracks just kind of hang in limbo for the most of them, and I don't know. So I mean, overall, I did think it was a decent record. Did not blow me away by any means. I think it's the weakest in their discography. However, there are some highlights in the bunch that you do not want to miss. And with that being said, I'm feeling a 6 over here on We Will Will Always Love You. Now, there are a handful of exclusive presses for this, as Avalanches vinyls are typically hot ticket items. Vinyl Me Please has a pretty cool looking variant that's out of 2,000 copies up on their website. Newberry Comics has an exclusive yellow pressing out of 1,000. And if you head over to the Avalanches web store, they have this green and Coke bottle clear color and color vinyl that is way overpriced. And they also have it on a standard black issue that I also think is a little bit overpriced, but I think that's because it's coming from Australia. So I'm gonna have links down below in my description box. If you guys want to collect this, you can go kind of crazy. And if you've listened to this album already, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and share. And if you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.